my husband was between jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He said, the only way forward if we want to stay living where we are is to start our own company.
That's right.
And this was quite an interesting concept. He had an idea, a biotechnology company, but we weren't quite sure which angle to go at.
That's right.
And at that same moment, the kids came home with a letter saying that there was head lice in the school. And could we check our children's hair for head lice?
Mm-hmm.
And the cat then came in from the garden and started scratching.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a friend who was a vet, and I said, if we could develop a vaccine of some kind to stop head lice, this would be really good because so many parents are fed up with head lice in school.
That's right. Yeah. Hello, welcome to Inspire Network. My name is Conrad. My guest today is Michelle Hett from Ireland. In addition to being a mother, Michelle is also a business owner. She is an international educator and she is also sitting in the board of directors of the European universities. Michelle is here to share her story with us and also inspire those who would like to follow her footprints. She's highlighting the importance of happiness. She's highlighting the importance of the confidence, and she's also highlighting how important it is to follow one's dream. As it stands, it's very important to hear what company this lady has. How is she managing working in Germany, living in Ireland, and also running 3 different assignments at the same time in addition to the family? So welcome, Michelle, to Inspire Network. Great to see you here.
Good to see you, Conrad, again, even though it's virtually and not in person.
Definitely. Virtual is real nowadays, so we have to live with that. It was very inspiring to hear your story as an international educator and also a business owner for over 24 years. Yeah. Yes. And the motivation you have all the time to make sure that everything is done in place. Would you tell us a little bit how did it come about? How is it so far going on?
I mean, really, it's funny how life turns out. I started my life straight after school in medical sciences. This still is my love today, although I'm getting close to retirement. I had my first job in England, working in the medical laboratories at a top university hospital, and decided that now I was qualified, I wanted to have a house. And this was my first challenge. As a woman, I was only allowed 2.5 times my salary to get a mortgage. But if I was a guy, I could have 3 times my salary. But as a woman, if I got engaged to a guy to get married, they would give me 5 times my salary.
Oh.
Well, I'm not having any of this, so how else can I get the money? And I decided that as a medical scientist, there was big money in the Middle East. And so I went to Saudi Arabia, for years in Saudi Arabia. And that was a real wake-up call. I'm very embarrassed to say that I was quite a racist before I went to Saudi Arabia, and I didn't realize I was. I got to Saudi, and I was working in a team in the laboratory, mainly Sudanese, and I considered myself to be better than them because I had a London degree from a British university and villages in Khartoum and Sudan. And it was a big wake-up call when we got our first case of malaria in the laboratory, and and then the Sudanese guy who had never been outside his village said to me, "But what type of malaria is it, Michelle?" And that's when I realized he had a lot more knowledge than I did.
That's right.
And that was my first wake-up call. Of course, living in Saudi Arabia as well, as a single woman under the Quran, I learned the Quran very well. And I understood then some of their laws, and I know from the outside some of their laws look quite outrageous. in many ways, it's actually to protect the women because they consider women to be close to God. So when you look at it from that perspective, you get a more positive feeling. So instead of being told, Michelle, you're not allowed to drive, it's Michelle, we don't want you to drive because it's so dangerous, so we will provide you a driver. You don't have the responsibility if there's an accident. But you in that way, then it's not so bad not being allowed to drive. And there were things, that really changed me. I ended up staying there for 5 years. And then I went to Jordan for 3 years. And that time in the Middle East where I learned that the role of the woman was seen in a very different way than in the UK, but we were still second. That kind of made me grow up a lot and mature a lot and realise I had so much to learn from other cultures.
Right.
So that was my basically the start of my life. It's a very basis in medical sciences.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
One of the things I had always wanted to do was to be a mum. I love my science, I love a career, and I love a professional career. But I had saved enough money to be a mum, and I always was uncertain if my marriage would ever work to whoever it would be. So I should have enough money to bring up my children independently. And I had 2 daughters.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I really enjoyed becoming a sort of a stay-at-home mum till I had done it for about 4 years.
That's right.
And then I thought, I love this, but I'm not stimulated mentally. At that same time, my husband was between jobs. He said, the only way forward if we want to stay living where we are is to start our own company.
That's right.
And this was quite an interesting concept. He had an idea, a biotechnology company, but we weren't quite sure which angle to go at.
That's right.
And at that same moment, the kids came home with a letter saying that there was head lice in the school and could check our children's hair for head lice. And the cats then came in from the garden and started scratching. And we had a friend who was a vet, and I said, if we could develop a vaccine of some kind to stop head lice, this would be really good because so many parents are fed up with head lice in school.
That's right. Yeah.
And the vet said, I don't have something for head lice, but I have a concept of an idea for fleas looking at your cat. So we started our whole company, biomedical company, on the basis of flea saliva. I'll tell you what it is. You don't want fleas to get their saliva to do a test.
I could imagine that.
And that whole discussion that started in our conservatory over a cup of coffee then led to a biotech company. Very early days, it was 1 meter of bench space at a university, and the rest was done in our home. The packing of the kits and the labelling was done in the conservatory. Kids helped pack boxes.
That's right.
And from this little tiny seed or this little tiny acorn grew a plant and a tree. And that company is now, as I say, it's about 25 years old now, and it's just well established. And I'm less involved in that. In fact, very, very far removed from that now because my life is gone. But that just shows that it's amazing what abilities you have, and often you don't tap into them, or you don't have the time. And I was lucky that my husband definitely had the courage and the foresight. He's also a hard worker. There were a lot of hours away from home for him.
That's right.
Being a mum and company. So all of a sudden then I started to go into business. So my medical science knowledge had been used. The concept of business.
Right.
And although I still wanted to be around for my kids because they were still growing up, realised that I could do some other businesses. So I signed up as the director of a management company for a housing unit, 20 different housing units where
That's right.
manage the contracts for tenants and the land that we were responsible for building. And then I took on another role, which actually led me into education. And that was with a company that enabled teenagers to go abroad for 1 month. So it was a 1-year program where the kids had to raise money to go abroad, always to the developing world. And in that month, they had to fulfill certain tasks.
Right.
You had to do 1 week of voluntary work somewhere. And the voluntary work could be literally doing a build, or it could be teaching, or it could be entertaining. It could be anything that this country or this village needed. Right. There was also a week of personal development where they had to actually go on a trek. They had to climb a mountain or trek through the jungle for a week. And then there were other set theoretical ideas in this program. The students got to choose actually what they did. And what we loved about this program was I accompanied, along with somebody else, a team of 16 kids, teenagers, but we did not make any decisions at all. Students literally were in charge of the money and the program. They got us from A to B to C, and the first time we stepped in, it was life-threatening. So if they got on the wrong train going in the wrong direction, we couldn't say anything.
Right.
Just make quite sure that it's safe and that can we get back to an international airport at the end of the month to get them home to their mummies and daddies. And no mobile phones.
No mobile phones, yes.
And that, to me, was when I realised the value of education. I don't think that those students had learned so much in 1 month of schooling as they learned on those 1 month exhibitions.
Exactly. The real life learning is always staying in your mind.
And even for them, they were astounded at their abilities and what they were able to do at a tender age of 16 and 17 years old. And it was working with this program with Irish schools, then asked to work with some European schools. I had a huge international background. I myself had lived in Singapore for a couple of years, South Korea 5 years, Jordan 3 years, India 3 years, UK and Ireland. On the basis of doing this work in the international schools in Europe, I was asked into a university in Germany. We had a few challenges with integrating international students and German students.
I see, yeah.
I did a bit of team building and a few activities with students, and I was then invited to apply for a job.
Yeah. And
this was then my second profession, if you don't count motherhood. I count motherhood as a profession.
As a profession as well, definitely.
My kids were now, I was empty nested more or less, they were at university. And I decided I would commute from Dublin, where I live, to Heidelberg, where I would work. And the university were fine with that, and we said we'll just see how it goes. Then be at home, and during the week I would be in Germany. And I was working in the international office, and it just seemed really natural to me to work with all these foreign students. I could completely relate to their challenges of being away from home. I then realised the huge value of the international education, and developed lots of international programs for the university. So we went from a little department with, I don't know, I think there must have been 15 partners, perhaps 20 at the most, for students for a semester. That was it. We now have well over 100 partners for different reasons. We have multiple dual degree programs where students can earn a bachelor degree in 2 different countries, or an MA or a master's. And that was kind of a natural progression, using the science as my background.
Yes.
My education as a mum, and my education from international travel. And all of these things were massive chances and really frightening. To become a mum is really quite a big decision to take.
It is, yeah.
Responsibility is huge. I really saw it as a huge responsibility. To start up a company where lots of people will see that you're doing that, and you don't want to fail because you don't want to be seen as a failure.
Yes.
to go and then change career again from science to education, and still juggle a family in one country but you're working in another country, with support, of course, the support of your colleagues.
Yes, yes.
But one of the things that, the regular thing that I faced in all of these different times was being
yes,
that
yes, yes.
one, every single time it was, but you're a woman.
Yes, yes.
Every single time I had to do that little bit more to prove that I was equal. And it's annoying, it's challenging, but you get confidence the more you achieve, the more you get confidence. And then
that's right.
Risks. And in every opportunity there is a chance. And I am a very positive person, and I hope I've indoctrinated that into my two daughters. But without a doubt, it is more challenging being a woman today. But that said, a lot of times it's about your own character and saying, do you know what? I'm going to give this my best shot.
Right.
And it's okay to have a change of direction.
Yes.
And it's also okay to fail. It's better to have failed when you tried than to have not tried at all.
Definitely. I was just last week I was speaking with an immigrant entrepreneur, and for him to be an immigrant, something. And this time you're telling me that to be a woman is something. But what he said is that challenges that he faced, he took them as an opportunity. And I can learn that this is what you're saying as well. So you did not stop there. You just went, oh yeah, you are a woman. And you said, yes, I am. But I would still like to do that.
Actually, if you're an immigrant woman, you've got everything against you. One of the things I learned, and I many times said, thank God I'm British and white, is because of that nationality and my colour, which is so wrong, I was automatically awarded senior positions. And the colleagues who'd come from Sudan were automatically given lower positions. And so, if you are an immigrant, you do have massive challenges being accepted. You do today, being in Germany.
That's right.
And it is partly my fault because I haven't mastered the German language. So when they listen to me, then they need to speak to me in English to be sure that they understand. Which is not good. I think if you choose to be an immigrant in a country, you should learn. I know the laws of Germany. You should also learn the language.
That's right.
Immigrant is a challenge. It absolutely is. And to be a female immigrant, you've got a double blow. Even today, where everybody says, oh no, it's not like that at all. We do have to give consideration to your ethnicity, your gender, your marital status. Yeah, right. On paper, that might be the case, but it doesn't happen. That's the bottom line.
That's clear. It's understandable. And of course, we hope this International Women's Day message as well in March will be a great opportunity for women to speak up and to say their mind or speak their mind. And hopefully something will be done. I think I was watching once this girl, I think she's a Miss Universe at the moment, and she said that in her reign, she would like to let women, and especially young women, take space. And I think that is a very strong message. Then it becomes evident that there is a need, but how do you make women take space? And I think it's through sharing good examples of the women who have already taken spaces. And I believe also you can share the examples of the highly successful women, but there is no anything harmful to share examples of the ones who are in the process of being, because they can also relate quite a lot with the one who hasn't started at all. Yeah. So opening up the eyes and letting someone saying, oh yeah, if she can try, I can also do that. And that's very, very important.
I think that's so true. And also the people who have achieved to literally take time to help those that are trying as well. So I think I was quite shocked the other day. I read the number of women prime ministers there are in the world. And I hadn't appreciated how many women who are holding this senior job. It's very, very good.
Yes.
And I think this should be more publicised so that people see that it's okay and it is doable, it is manageable. But likewise, I try very hard, and I hope I've done well with my children, is to try and give them those confidences to move forward and to try and to not be held back by your gender in particular.
Exactly.
And I think this is being shown. There are more and more people in the top. My youngest is actually working for a top London law firm. And her challenge is, today, she would like to have a family.
Right.
But this will hold back her career a lot.
Definitely.
And there is no alternative. She is the one that would have to produce the baby. And how wrong is this? Because it will affect her career negatively and not enhance the career.
Yeah.
And at work, one of the things that I've seen in our university, and which I'm so proud about, is that during COVID times where people have had to be careful about transmitting the virus, that we made quite sure that any people with young children enabled them to work from home.
Yes.
Enabled them to work different hours than us, facilitating children being in the home environment.
That's right.
Zoom conference when a child is hungry.
Yes.
And the whole outlook was, let's look at your personal situation.
Exactly.
And fit in with that and still get the best out of you career-wise. And that was very forward-thinking at my university. And there are many, not just the women, I mean, some of the dads are stay-at-home dads too at the moment, because they're working back in their own offices. But, without a doubt, I'm beginning to see more activity in promoting women and opportunities. But one of the failures when we've interviewed for female professors is that they're often very slow at explaining or enhancing their capabilities. The boys, men, you can't stop them. Once they get going, they are just, I've done this, I've done that.
Yeah.
And the girls, they're not so fast at coming forward. We can offer. And it's almost as if it's been drilled into them.
Yes.
Most.
I think there is a caring element, and they care more on the message they deliver than how good they are. I think this is a natural trait, which I think is a very good trait to have, because for the ones who are listening and getting the knowledge should kind of imitate that. But we are created in a way. That we cannot imitate without being told. In a sense that, I am good because. So it's a little bit.
There could be this nurturing effect, where we are slower to offend or to speak out, and it could be exactly that. It might be something that's in our hormones, but that should not work against us.
Definitely, yeah.
It should be seen as a positive thing, and it can be very good.
Yeah, we hope that as we go on in the 21st century and more, we are going to have even more open societies where men can support the women initiatives. So I got a few questions when I was saying that I'm hosting International Women's Day. I was like, what? You're hosting an International Women's Day? I said, yes. And then you are a guy? And I say, yes, I am a guy, but I decided to make a change. So that some other guy will see, oh yeah, there was a guy who hosted the International Women's Day. So I can do. And if we have 10,000 of them around the world, then women are coming to the platform. Men are also sitting on the platform, and the world is a better place to be. So this is the idea. And of course, having a little girl at home, I had to think about, okay, so I have a little baby girl at home. I know that women have this challenge. What can I do as a father? That's the motivation.
This is totally true. And unfortunately, quite often men are in the position to make the difference. They are empowered because of their seniority many times in companies. And it's for them to try to ensure that if you've got two equal applications, that perhaps you give benefits to the female applicants to give them the opportunity to have a gender balance in the workplace, because without a doubt, a gender balanced workplace is very, very healthy.
Yes, definitely.
There are gender differences. I'm not disputing that, but I also work very well together, and to have a difference of one gender or another, be it female, is not the best.
Exactly. Definitely.
Certainly my male colleagues have great fun in teasing me and some of my little intricacies, but on the other hand, it works both ways. Sometimes
definitely
a little bit abrupt, and I say, "Oh, that's a bit hard." Oh, yes, conversation down a little bit.
Yes.
Particularly in meetings, sometimes in meetings, that's quite interesting when you sit back and you see how the different genders tackle a challenge.
Yeah.
And quite often there you can see a gender difference as opposed to thinking difference.
Yes, definitely. And that's very important. I want to still ask about your career. You are a biomedic in Ireland. You're working in a university in Germany. Of course, your kids are older, but I know that motherhood is never a retirement job. So how do you manage all the three? These are the three that we know, but you might have a lot of, you are a board member in some international university or European university, actually. So how do you manage all these assignments?
You do have to prioritize. And in my mind, it's very, very clear my number one priority is my two children.
That's right.
There's nothing that comes before those kids. On the other hand, they have to learn to take some responsibilities themselves. But there have been occasions where I've made the wrong decision. So there have been times when I wish I'd been at home when the situation has taken place, where I should support my daughter. And there's been other times when I've made the decision to be away, and that's actually been very good because they've had to tackle a problem themselves.
That's right.
What I think the most beneficial thing for me is everybody is very clear of the situation. So people know that I'm a mother first. My kids know my job. They know I'm there for them, but it doesn't mean to say I have to be there the whole time.
Exactly.
And work also understands that there are times when I need to have the time off work because there's no place for children. And
that's right.
The mother needs to participate. And I think when everybody is above board and you do the job well, this is also, you should not use any of these as an excuse not to do a job well. If you cannot do the job well, then you must accept that. But I'm very lucky. I have teams of help in all three. So on the domestic front, I have help at the home with the house.
That's right.
And my husband's working from Ireland, so he's there for the children too. Back in Germany, obviously I have the international office team. And much of my work can be done virtually even before we had COVID. So that's
right.
And with the biomedical sciences, at the time, that was also quite important because we had to build the company. I'm not so involved with that now. I'm much more involved with the housing project, and you're right, I'm on the board of directors for the European University Alliance. And that can be time consuming because you're physically away in another country and you're tied up with meetings and available to the other people in your lives. But I think as long as you're very open and honest, so everybody's aware of these balls you're juggling in the air and that those balls feed into what you're doing.
Definitely.
My children are benefiting from what I'm doing at the university. The university is benefiting from what I'm doing with the European University Alliance. that's
right.
That they can see that all of this keeps me happy, and while I'm happy, then everything's good.
Everything is good, and so yes.
I think really you have to prioritize and you have to be honest. And when things start to slip, you have to say, I'm not able to have all these balls in the air. I need to drop one, and I might pick it up again later. At this point in time, be it children are well or doing key exams or whatever, you then have to say, do you know what? This bit of my life has to just stay on hold. This bit needs a little bit more time.
That's right.
So I have been lucky with colleagues, but I also think that luck is earned. And I think if you work well with colleagues in whichever part of my life I'm working with, they will help you and they will support you when you need it. And likewise, I'm there for them.
Yes, I think the lucky or not lucky question is always coming to me as well. And I spoke already with some people in these interviews chain. Maybe I should have some kind of a roundtable of discussing lucky. I think we are lucky to be alive. Everything else that comes there is earned because we are working hard for those. And as I can see your story, you are really working hard to make sure that everything is done, in every part is done very well. And when everything is done very well, then you are happy. And it is that happiness that makes everybody else see that you're lucky. I think that's very important.
Yeah, I mean, luck, I think, for me, the luck I have is good health. And this is great. Then I don't need to worry about that side of things. That's
right.
When people suddenly get, hit with some sort of illness, through no fault of their own, that's very unlucky. Many illnesses you can't avoid.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right, and I also agree with you. I think in many ways, luck is what you make of something.
Definitely, I think so.
Taking those chances, I think sometimes women need to have too much certainty, and they're not prepared to jump into the unknown or to take risks. And I've done that a couple of times, and it's not worked out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But overall, if something happens to me tomorrow, I can say that I've had a very full life, and I've really enjoyed the different aspects of my life. They've been quite varied, and I've really enjoyed the challenges. I've got no regrets of anything.
Without challenges, there is no opportunities, and without challenges, we cannot develop.
Yeah, very, very.
Yeah. So, what can you tell the women of the world? Of course, I know that your message will fit the men as well. But now we would like to also empower the women who would like to be the future Michelle Hett.
Really, the message is don't hold back. You are as good as anybody else, regardless of gender. It's a mindset. And yes, I know there are obstacles put in our way because of history. Or small-mindedness on some parts of people, but don't let that stop you. Try and concentrate on the women who have achieved, and know that it can be done. And if you don't try it first, then try again. If you succeed, then try again. And without a doubt, nowadays it's becoming less and less of a challenge, gender discrepancies, and when you're feeling down, just look back at history at some of the women that you admire, and look at the downside they had. They didn't come easily to many of them. Give up, and they found a way. I was just very lucky. Things fell into my lap, but I grabbed the opportunity when they did.
Definitely. So, fantastic.
And don't lose your priorities. Just look at what you value, hold what you value, hold your values, and be honest. It works. It really does work. Yes. And of course, you've got to roll up your sleeves and deliver. Definitely.
With hard work, always.
Yeah. And I think for women, you have to deliver 101%, whereas for men, 5%.
Yes. 1% more is not very bad. That is the 1% of taking care of the children at home and making sure that everything is okay, because I'm sure women will always take an extra care, no matter how much men are also caring. And I think that's a great thing, because it's always good to have someone who will take 1% more to be careful, because it is that 1% which will improve something in the family or at work, for example.
100, yeah, absolutely. And I think you also have to recognize that there are differences as well. And that will never change. You know, men generally are stronger physically than women. And it's not a problem to ask a guy to lift a heavy box for me.
Exactly.
But likewise, I could not ask my husband to breastfeed my children.
Definitely, yes.
Unless, of course, I gave him the milk. So, and accept those. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Definitely.
We should all be on a level playing field. And these are the things that we need to change. And we can change it by being there.
Definitely.
People. And there are so many amazing women out in the world who have achieved in incredible circumstances.
Yeah.
It is really quite remarkable.
Fantastic. Michelle, I thank you very much. This is a wonderful story. It's very inspirational, not only for women, but also for men. Working in 3 different places, taking care of the family, working with your husband successfully for 24 years. I know sometimes working within a family, you see each other the whole day. Is challenging, but you were able to develop a product, included your kids into the product development and activities, working for the university to make the difference. I think nobody will need anything more. I don't think if you want to be a president one day, but this is already very inspirational. And thank you very much. And I'm sure maybe in the future we can also discuss a little bit more about the happiness element and the lucky element in doing things, on how can a person achieve those. It will be really, really fantastic to learn more and more, and of course to educate other people who are watching these clips.
It's important to be happy.
Definitely.
And I look forward to talking to you again, Conrad, and it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Michelle.